After having a fantastic studio space and all the materials for free, suddenly I was out of college. I didn't have a studio, I didn't have any materials, so basically it was about being resourceful, which is what everybody has to do now anyway. So I used to go around collecting pieces of wood from skips and pieces of stone, and basically these pieces I made within probably around that 1987. This piece was based on Lincoln Cathedral. That was a kind of Jonah and the whale, a guy being swallowed by a fish. And then all of the storms happened in 1987, and I lived in Tooting at the time, and loads of trees fell down, which for me was a fantastic opportunity. I just, with my chainsaw, just went out on the common and just started carving all the trees that had blown down. Those are the days where I used to carry my chainsaw on the tube, or I used to carry it on my back on my push bike. Nowadays you just wouldn't be able to do that. And then following, you know, just going out and doing it on the common, Wandsworth Council approached me because they were doing a landscape improvement, and then this was my the first commission that I ever did. And basically it was the first site-specific commission that I did. So basically I went to the site, researched the history. You know, it was something that was developing in the sort of art world at that time, site specificity, if that's the word. Yeah, the contrast is a bit too contrasty. So basically there's a poacher, a sheep herder, a gorse gatherer, and then a tree of life. And I also did a large sheep seat, because that particular place on the common is where they used to, you know, historically herd sheep and that sort of thing. So this was a piece that took probably 3 months, and I made it on site from the trees which had blown down on the common.
Did you get paid for it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I got £6,000, which in 1989 was a huge amount of money, and I thought, oh, I'm never going to be poor again. And then, as I quickly realised, money is like water, and it just disappears. Then, following on from that, I got this commission in 1991, and this was the first time I'd done like an open competition. So basically it was for a library. There was a primary school this side and a brand new library here, and a courtyard in the middle. And yeah, this is 1991, so it's 20 years ago. And this was basically the tree of knowledge. So there's a sort of similarity between what I'm doing here and this piece. So basically it's just a stack of books, and then one book at the top opening up with all the sort of unknown knowledge coming out of it. This sculpture also won an award, which I was well chuffed about. And then that enabled me to buy more materials so I could carry on doing my own work. Then after, it seemed like a sort of a mini snowball effect. I was then approached by Sainsbury's, who were building a new superstore in Camberley in Surrey. And again, it was an old rubbish tip that they covered over, built the store on, and then had a nature area. So basically this piece is a plough group waiting to plough the new land. All the wood for this came from the storms again, and you just can't get wood like it now. The the thing, the actual horse itself is made up of 4 pieces. That's 1 piece there, 2 pieces here, enormous mortise and tenon joints, and then that's all 1 piece of wood there. That's about 4 feet diameter, and you just can't get pieces about that big now, because all the stuff from the Storms either got bought by cabinet makers to plank up. But this was one of the first times that I'd actually worked with a big company, and then like ran into all the logistical problems of dealing with a big company. It was quite a large commission. It was £30,000 in 1992, but they wouldn't give me any money up front for materials, so I basically had to borrow £10,000. And in those days, I didn't have a house, I didn't have any collateral or anything, so I struggled to get the money together to do the job, but it all worked out in the end. And then when I got my final cheque off Sainsbury's for, I think it was 23,000, when I put it in the bank in Peckham, the teller thought I'd been made redundant from Sainsbury's. But also at the time you could buy a flat in Peckham for that amount of money. So it was an enormous amount, and that kept me going for about 2 or 3 years.